My name is Kendra Thomas, but as of September 2018, I am now Dr. Kendra Thomas. When I look in the mirror, I see someone who defied all odds, accomplished so many goals. I'm really just proud of myself. I see a beautiful woman, especially before I put anything on my face, with my hair all over the place. I just love who I am. So I see a woman who continues to surprise herself and who has continued to, like I said, defy the odds of her circumstances, and as someone who is ready to take on more challenges and is excited to see what's next. I always say that when I run out of goals, I'm like, oh no, I need new goals. I need something else to, that I can study, research, or whatever. And the first time I hit that mark was about 7 years ago, when I landed into my dream job at the time. And it wasn't necessarily the job, but I had always said that I wanted to be a remote employee. I wanted to work from home, because after I got out of the military, I became a military spouse, and I had to quit jobs over and over and over again because we moved so much. So once I accomplished that goal of finally landing a really great career with a great company, I really sat back and looked at myself and said, all right, time to create some new goals, because now you've just accomplished this major goal of yours. What's next? So looking in the mirror at myself and the woman that I see a role model. I see someone who has a lot to learn. I see someone who is blessed to just be able to walk on this earth and dream big dreams. My journey, I feel, is continuous. I am one of those people who, if you tell me I can't do something, or if I apply for a job and I don't get it, I just feel like that's a plot twist. That's a redirect of my life. I might feel some disappointment, but I'm also encouraged because I believe that what's mine will be given to me. It doesn't mean that you don't work hard for it, but when it's right for the time being, when it's in his time, which is also my time, things just fall into place so easily. So at this point in my journey, I feel empowered to do whatever it is that I want to do. And no one can tell me that I can't do it. Maybe something that I really wanted didn't happen for me. And then a few months later, I see why it didn't happen for me. It's because I wasn't thinking big enough. I wasn't dreaming big enough. And if there isn't a lesson in that, I don't know what is. But every time I've wanted something and I didn't get it, I'm quickly reminded as to why I didn't get it and what's in store for me moving forward. So there's that. My journey. I grew up in the 80s. Well, I was born in the 80s, and the crack epidemic hit my household hard. My dad became addicted to drugs, and I experienced his drug abuse for most of my adult life. I think he's been clean for about 15 or 16 years now. But we don't have the best relationship. I come from a world of sexual abuse. I've been abused by multiple men that have been in my household growing up. One of my mom's boyfriends, and my dad. I left my mom's house because of the abuse I was receiving from starting at 9 years old up until my senior year in high school with this individual. So I left that place to go live with my dad, who was also addicted to drugs off and on, and I did experience sexual abuse. But oddly enough, when he was not on drugs, he was great. We were able to communicate. I stayed out of trouble because of him. I know that sounds weird. He didn't graduate high school. He did get his GED about 10 or so years ago. And my mom, she did graduate high school and did ultimately end up raising me and was responsible for me and showed me strength in a different way. But never, they both never said, oh, you can't do this, or that's this dumb idea. They always supported me even beyond what they saw in their own lives. So I never felt like I couldn't do anything. I never felt like I couldn't share my ideas or dreams with my parents. I joined the military immediately after high school. Well, before I graduated high school, I joined and then left to go pursue that career. And it was the best decision that I ever made. I spent a total of 7 years, both active duty Army and inactive reserves. And through those ups and downs and those challenges, I got married, I had kids, and experienced military life as a military spouse. And for me, in my lowest points of feeling like I lost myself, I no longer knew who I was, from going to being an independent person to being responsible for little people. I said, you know what, I know I love being a parent, I love being a wife, those are all great things, but I love having a job, I love having a career, and being able to identify those things and seeing what I want, and really identifying my path, and then from my upbringing of not having electricity or hot water and things like that, I just knew foundational pieces that I would need to have a safe space, not only for my children, but for myself, to make sure that I'm secured and that I'm comfortable in my environment and that I don't have to struggle in that way. So I just kept moving forward. And for me, I feel like education was the key. Education saved my life. And it's something that I don't take for granted at all. So I received my associate's degree, and that worked well. And then I went and earned my bachelor's degree and experienced the recession of 2008-2009 and had a hard time finding work. And between that, moving every 6 months and 2 years and 4 years at a time, that was a true challenge for me. And I remember finally landing into my industry, which is higher education, and loving it. And the way I entered into that is I was interviewing for an admission position, and they said, oh, that position has been filled, but we have this admin assistant role open. Would you be interested? And my background is in IT initially, but I knew I wanted to get into higher education. So what I did was I talked to my husband about it. I said, I have this other interview where I'm going to be doing what I already know to do, but here's this opportunity to be in higher ed. And my husband's like, hey, do what you feel. So I accepted the admin assistant position with the college. And 2 months later, I was promoted to the Director of Career Services and Placement role for the college. So won't he do it? So I felt like having faith in that moment and just trusting that whatever happened, it was meant to happen at the time that it happened, and all the things that I could learn helped me break into higher education. And now I'm in another dream role with another university where I get to work remotely. So to me, education has opened so many doors for me. I've learned so much. I feel empowered. I love being a woman. I love being a Black woman. And I love showing other people that you really can accomplish whatever you want to in your life. And if people are around you that are saying no, you can't do it, or you feel that they're talking about you, or they are talking about you, you may need to change your circle. Just that simple. Or just hang out with yourself for a little while. Become your own best friend. That's what I've had to do sometimes, and I've collected a lot of great friends along the way that are really supportive, and we're all doing our own thing. And you shouldn't have to make a choice between your happiness and someone else's comfort level. So, my rock bottom. I've had a few rock bottoms actually. How embarrassing. One of my last rock bottoms was when I left that job of being the director and then moving. We got orders and we had to move to another state. It took about a year to land a job that was in my lane, and that was very difficult because I began to question my own abilities, who I was as a person, my contributions, and the value that I had outside of my home. And I remember I was in tears one day. I was crying, and I took a shower, and I was in the shower, and I was like, God, I've been faithful. I'm doing everything that you ask of me, and nothing's happening. Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to just get back on track? Am I supposed to be applying for jobs that I don't want? Should I be trying something else? I don't know. I don't know what to do. And then I got downstairs and I was doing something down there, and I get a phone call, and it's a job interview for a college position. And I was like, yes, okay, all right, I see you guys. And then 15 minutes after that, I get another phone call, and it's an interview from another college with a very similar position. And it was in that moment that I looked up and I was like, okay, you got jokes. And it was also the first time that I fully established my relationship with God. I'd grown up in the church, but there's something so special about having a personal relationship. And I felt in that moment I had it. And I was like, I completely understand who you are, and I completely understand what you want out of my life. And since I've done that, since I've accepted that, there's still moments where I fight against the bigger idea. But for the most part, we are solid like a rock. And that was a great way to get out of the ashes and rise above that rock bottom. So another time is, anytime I'm dealing with personal relationships, whether it's my husband or my mom or my dad, when there's a lack of understanding, a lack of trust, just, a lack of love and support in the way that individually we need to feel that, I think it can do damage. So the rock bottoms that I've had is just a lack of understanding, a lack of clarity, a lack of transparency. And I carry those ideas into the relationships that I also have at work. So I feel like if I stay quiet, it's very difficult to be able to rise above. So I speak up. And of course, it doesn't mean that you yell. You communicate in a way that you want to be heard. So whenever I feel like I'm getting close to a rock bottom, since now I can recognize those patterns and things, my triggers and things, I do a self-analysis on myself, make sure that it's not just me bugging, and if I can clear it up with myself and work it out, I'll do that. But then if I still have those feelings and I need to make contact with a person or a group, I do that in a respectful way, and that really gets me out of any rock bottom or poor feelings that I may have at that time. What advice would I have for my younger self or anyone who is experiencing what I've overcome? Look at your angels in your life. Look at those people that just pop up out of nowhere and they show you a different perspective. They show you that you don't have to struggle. They show you that life isn't just what's happening in your household. Because when you're a child, you don't have control over a lot of things. But thank the heavens that as an adult, you do have control. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, if you're not happy in that setting, you can definitely remove yourself. So, growing up, I was called, weird, awkward, but I think we've all had our awkward moments. I was called Oreo. I was told that I was acting like a white girl because of how I decided to live my life. But when I looked at myself, I was thinking, y'all don't know what it took for me to even get to school today. You don't even know. So I don't want to stay in that. So I stayed true to myself and did what I needed to do to get out. So even if now, as an adult, you still feel like you are that little girl, just know that you have people that love you and support you. And if you don't have them directly where you can pick them up and, give them a call, look for groups or people that have the same or similar goals. Journal, get a planner, write things out, write your feelings out, write out your goals and things that you would like to do. One thing that I realized is I would tell myself, oh, let me set a goal. And then as I'm setting the goal, I would place all of these weird limitations on it as if it's something that is actually going to happen today. No, if you are dreaming big, keep on, dream a little bigger, because you don't want to subconsciously put limitations on yourself. So if you have that little girl in you still, shine some light on her, let her grow, let her be magical, encourage her, love on her, look in the mirror and say flattering things about yourself. If you're not having a good day, like for me, I like wearing lipstick and things and getting dressed or whatever. If I'm feeling bad that day, as soon as I get it all together, I feel 10 times better. So do what makes you feel good. If you need to meditate, do yoga, pray, make yourself a really nice breakfast, take yourself out. And I know these are crazy times, so even if it was just to step outside to just open yourself up and just get some sunlight, do it. Do what feels good to you and nurture that little girl inside of you. I am very active when it comes to giving myself space to feel what I feel, and then finding a way to find a positive out of whatever the situation is. So I'm always on a mission to self-reflect and grow, communicate, learn, love, shine light on other people, acknowledge other people's presence, love on my friends, be a better communicator, all of those things. So I just recommend the same for you. So continue to shine a light on yourself. That's what I'm doing. I acknowledge when I make mistakes. I apologize. I'm always working on being a better listener. Sometimes we can formulate the thoughts in our minds before we fully hear the other person, and then they realize that when you speak, and then they don't want to talk to you anymore. So for me, I'm trying to always be a better listener, not just get so excited to just share, and just really be present in that moment with myself, with my children, with my husband, with my family, with my friends, in work meetings, which can really be long sometimes, but people are speaking because they believe in what they're saying. So it's the least I could do is give them a common courtesy of listening and showing them. So I guess overall, when you can acknowledge your truth, acknowledge your space, be open to the experience of learning and listening, and not being so hard on yourself for things that are ultimately out of your control. I think there's power in that. I know I feel powerful. It took a long time to get to where I am today, just mentally. And because I've been able to be so open, doors continue to open. And I feel like I also have to learn to appreciate those doors and make way for other people, create a safe space where we can all share the things that we grieve, and also our incredible joys and happiness and accomplishments. So, yeah, I would just say find like-minded individuals, take care of yourself, nurture that little girl inside of you, and be true to yourself.